Well, good morning and welcome. My name is Mike Kennewell, class of 1999. As I prepare to welcome Val Daravel, class of 2012, as the new Alumni Association president, it's truly an honor to conduct the 2023 Alumni Awards Assembly as my final event as the Alumni Association president. This is always a special event for me. I've enjoyed the opportunity to come back here and recognize some outstanding achievements of fellow alums over the years. It's always impressive to see what our alumni are doing out in the world and the ways that they give back both to the community and to the college itself. So I'm always excited to be here. Each year, the Juniata College Alumni Association honors fellow alumni during Alumni Weekend. This assembly is the culmination of a year's work and a process in which many have participated. It begins with alumni, faculty, and the staff who nominate classmates, friends, and former students. It continues with members of the Alumni Council Awards and Nominations Committee who have the difficult task of selecting our award winners. And it comes to a close with the individuals you see before you here this morning. I would like to extend my deep gratitude to everyone who helped play a role in making this occasion possible, especially Mike Ford, who has led this year's selection committee. Thank you very much, Mike. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Juniata President Jim Trohan.
Good morning, everybody. I feel like I'm overexposed during this weekend. I say hello, and I'm in front of so many different events each day beginning Thursday through tonight. But it's great to see so many of you. I had a chance to say hello to many of you. The alumni all-class dinner last night. Some of you at the milestone breakfast today. If you come to the forum in the future later, I'll get a chance to say hello to you again and share some things that are happening here at the college. But this is always a wonderful event to honor some great Juniatians. I want to also just welcome so many of our family and friends of our honored guests today who have joined us for this occasion. So we have a chance this morning to just continue to celebrate the wonderful Juniatians that we have out there, outstanding achievements of our Juniata alumni. They join already a distinguished group of awardees who have been been recognized at this very event, and they'll now serve as a model and inspiration for Juniata students and alumni for years to come. If there's anything certain about our institution and this great college, it's that our alumni are changing the world for the better. So John, Joe, Mark, and Gayle, congratulations for all that you have accomplished, and thank you for bringing honor to this institution. Appreciate all that you've done. So with that, let me pass it back to Mike, and we'll get the program going. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. At this time, we will begin the presentation of the awards. The first award that we will lift up is the Alumni Achievement Award. This award has been given annually since 1971. It recognizes those who have distinguished themselves over a period of years who have achieved a pinnacle position in their chosen profession. The recipient of the 2023 Alumni Achievement Award is John Rummel, class of 1962. Joel Diamond will present the award.
Thank you. John Rummel. John grew up in western Pennsylvania and attended Shaler High School, where he played football in one of the country's best conferences at that time, the WPIAL. Players from that conference that will always be remembered: Johnny Unitas, Joe Namath, Joe Montana, Tony Dorsett, and of course, John Rummel. John was an excellent high school student and had many choices to further his education. He narrowed those choices to Brown University and Juniata College. Juniata was a legacy school for John, as his father, William, class of 1917, siblings, Mary, class of 1941, Sarah, 45, and David, 46, as well as his Uncle Paul, class of 1925, and Aunt Grace, class of 1929, all graduated from Juniata College. John was very thoughtful in his decision-making process and also had a business acumen. He got up the nerve and sat down with his dad to tell him his college choice. He was going to break the Rummel family mold. "Dad, I'm going to Brown." William looked John squarely in the eye and said, "Great choice, son. And by the way, I'm only paying for Juniata." John used that business acumen and responded, "Okay, I'm going to Juniata." It was a choice that John would never regret, as he flourished at Juniata and graduated in 1962 with degrees in biology and chemistry. John then went on to Rice University for his master's and received his doctorate from Baylor. It seemed that Texas was becoming a part of his life. Unbelievably, until recently, John flew under the radar at Juniata College. As a fortuitous development officer in this case, John was kind enough to accept a visit from me while I was traveling in Texas. I had no idea what to expect. Our conversation started off very informally with the how do you do's. Then it happened. Unlike any previous first visit that I had ever made, what a hidden gem. I was mesmerized as John began to talk. We were talking about the United States space age, the same era that Walter Cronkite covered and my family watched in awe. Very humble and very confident, he gave me the 30-minute version, it could have been 30 hours, of John's 35-year career at NASA. I couldn't wait to call my colleagues and tell them what had transpired. From 1966 until 2006, with the exception of 5 years where John established his own software company, John shined at NASA. John began his NASA career in the Environmental Physiology Lab. Not long after John began, the director was awarded a flight experiment for Skylab involving the metabolism of humans during long-duration space flight. Then the big opportunity arose for this young, inexperienced man. John's director was working on other assignments and could not accept this award. He asked John to take this assignment. This was daunting for John Rummel, but he accepted and never looked back. He was now working with Skylab engineers and astronauts, and with little direction, John had to figure it out. While in this position, he patented the metabolic analyzer, which was utilized for metabolic testing on Skylab. John's success and knowledge on Skylab led him to be awarded a position on the Apollo team performing medical testing on the Apollo astronauts. In a way, John was now going to the moon. John would be testing pre-flight and post-flight metabolic rates of our astronauts. He spent many hours on the recovery ships for the Apollo astronauts. Wally Schirra was the first astronaut that John worked with, and it encompassed all the Apollo astronauts, including Jim Lovell, Alan Shepard, and the Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. A short story that changed history. The Apollo team, including the astronauts, would gather on Fridays for happy hours, I guess they were doing some drinking, at one of their residences. Many lived in the same neighborhood. Apollo 11 was getting closer to its blast-off time. John noticed a sulking Buzz Aldrin and approached him. John asked, "What's wrong?" and Buzz would not answer John. After enough nudging, Buzz finally relented and said that I am no longer going to be the first person on the moon. Buzz had that assignment. Earlier that day, Deke Slayton, who made all the assignments, notified Buzz that Captain Neil Armstrong decided he was going down the ladder first. Too bad for Buzz, I guess. Buzz would be second. Buzz is the only Apollo 11 astronaut still alive today. After Apollo, John became the head of the environmental lab and was then promoted to Deputy Director of Space and Life Sciences. As you can see, John led a storied career. A few of the many highlights. He wrote over 50 technical papers and publications dealing with humans in space. John was a member of the NASA Astronaut Selection Committee, was a co-chair of the Russia-NASA MIR Phase 1 program. This was a joint program with the Russians doing in-flight experiments, and also received the prestigious Snoopy Award that is received by a select few individuals recognized by astronauts as having significantly provided for their well-being and safety as part of flight. John has been kind and generous to share his memorabilia with Juniata College, and it is displayed proudly in Brumbaugh Academic Center. The display includes equipment he designed, mylar from the recovery capsule of Apollo 11, items from the joint U.S.-Soviet missions, and of course, John's Snoopy Award. I am now honored to read the Alumni Achievement Citation for John A. Rummel. David, is this right? Yes. This says something about a citation from the Huntington Police with a warrant for John's arrest for some mischief back in 1960. So, I just wanted to make sure that this was right. John A. Rummel, a member of the class of 1962, has distinguished himself within his profession, a career that exceeded the boundaries of Earth. Following his graduation from Juniata, he earned a Master of Arts degree in Environmental Physiology in 1964 at Rice University and a PhD in Human Physiology in 1966 at Baylor College of Medicine. He has reached the pinnacle of his career in science, retiring from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration in 2006. John's 35-year career at NASA spanned much of the history of human spaceflight and all 9 lunar missions as part of the Apollo program between 1968 and 1972. From 1966 to 1983, he worked in physiology, life sciences, mission management, and space life science. John worked closely with astronauts prior to and upon returning from missions, striving to expand understanding of the effects of weightlessness on the human body, regulation of life support resources in relation to the work expended by astronauts, and the requirement parameters for in-flight respiratory systems. John was the mission scientist for Space Lab 1 and 2, a collaboration in the early 1970s between NASA and the European Space Research Organization, now the European Space Agency. He was founder and president of MAP Systems Incorporated, Management, Analysis, and Planning, PC Software Utilities, in Houston, Texas for 6 years prior to returning to NASA in 1990. John retired in 2006 as Deputy Director of Advanced Planning and Integration. John is the author of more than 50 technical papers and publications and has given more than 20 presentations on human spaceflight. He was the responsible technical monitor for more than 30 bioengineering and scientific contracts, studies designed to understand the physiological effects of space travel on the human body. He has been recognized with numerous awards for his achievements, including the NASA Medal of Exceptional Scientific Achievement and a U.S. patent for in-flight metabolic measurement hardware, both in 1974. NASA Outstanding Leadership Medal in 1996, and the prestigious Snoopy Award in 2006, given by astronauts to selected individuals they identify as having significantly provided for their well-being and safety as part of a space flight. This award is presented to him in recognition of lifetime achievements in his career. It is an honor and a privilege to present John A. Rummel, class of 1962, with the Alumni Achievement Award by direction of the Alumni Council.
Thank you, Joel, for your kind remarks. I owe you one. And presenting me with the 2023 Alumni Achievement Award. Thank you, Mike, board, and your committee, as well as David Meadows and his associate Sierra Waite, for selecting and supporting me for this award. And thank you, President Troop, for your comments in hosting this event. Why am I standing here today, June 10th, 2023, at Juniata College accepting this prestigious award? The event has given me an opportunity to reflect on my career and what were the essential factors that got me to this place. While there are many aspects and individuals that were important, in addition to Juniata and NASA, my family was an essential part of this journey. Starting with my family, I would like to acknowledge those that are able to be here today. My wife, Judy, our daughter, Tracy DeJarnett, and her husband, Greg DeJarnett, my niece, Mary Scott, and my nephew, Jeffrey Spiker, and his significant other, Kimberly Panera. As Joel noted, many members of my family attended Juniata before me: my father, brother, two sisters, uncle, and niece. My father was very big on education, and I knew I would be attending Juniata. My father was also big in fostering a work ethic. My initial job started immediately when I arrived at Juniata, and it was to work with Mr. Fisher in the bookstore and tote him in. This gave me an opportunity to meet all the Juniata students and probably gave me a leg up in becoming the sophomore class president. Upon reflection, it was important that Juniata provided the type of students, faculty, and environment that fostered both intellectual and personal growth. For me, that is no better demonstrated than my three roommates, Pete Christie, Stan Smith, and Bert Lee. All of them went on to highly recognized positions. For example, emeritus member of the Council of American Chemical Society, Director of Human Resources for Bridgetown Firestone Tire and Rubber, and Professor Emeritus at University of Maryland. They were an essential part of my Juniata experience. My intellectual growth was facilitated by many professors that are too many to mention. I quickly found out, however, that my Juniata education was not going to be easy. Not knowing, and as a freshman, I signed up to Dr. Cherry's finance course, only to find his grading scale started with an F-. It's true. My personal growth was greatly enhanced by my serving in the position of student body president. Dean Heberling's guidance as the Juniata sponsor in that endeavor was a major factor in learning how to provide focused direction and leadership for a varied population of students. President Ellis highlighted my Juniata experience by assigning me to represent Juniata at a regional leadership conference. My brother, who was a Marine flight surgeon, called me one day when I was a junior at Juniata and still undecided about my post-Juniata activities. He said that NASA was opening a space center in Houston, Texas, and I should take a look. I remember going to the second floor of the library and looking up the graduate schools in Houston, Texas. I don't believe my Juniata experience could have been any better. I was well prepared. From Juniata and graduate student studies, it was on to NASA. In my graduate studies, I was fortunate to have my PhD professor, a leader in a NASA human isolation study. That led me to a job offer from NASA immediately after my PhD graduation. As the award has identified, I was involved in many aspects of human spaceflight during my 35-year career. There were many individuals that were essential in these endeavors. However, I have selected one instance and one individual that fully changed my NASA career and put it on a very specific path that is fully reflected in this award. Dr. Charles Berry was a top medical administrator for NASA and was the astronaut's physician. I got notice that Dr. Berry was conducting a meeting to determine what biomedical activities should be pursued during the Apollo program. I told my boss about the meeting, and he indicated he didn't think it was worthwhile going. But if I wanted to go ahead and go. When I arrived at the main conference room, Dr. Berry and his staff were just getting seated. There was no one directing who should sit where, and when I saw an empty seat at the main table, I sat down. Dr. Berry said he wanted to get ideas for biomedical research for Apollo and started going around to the individuals sitting at the table and asked what they recommended. Panic. I wasn't sure I should even be sitting at the table. I had been at NASA less than a year, had never met Dr. Berry or any of his staff. So when it got to my turn, I stood up and introduced myself. I told him I was working on a new Skylab flight experiment designed to measure astronaut work capabilities after long-duration spaceflight, and I thought that measuring work capabilities after astronauts went to the moon and returned would provide important operational information. Dr. Berry asked me several questions as to how I would do that, and after conferring with his deputy, he said, "John, that sounds like a good idea. Go do it." More panic. What did I get myself and my boss into? When I told my boss what had happened, he shrugged his shoulders and said, "Well, John, you better figure it out. Dr. Berry is going to expect results." Without going into the many details, this led myself and my team on a complex multi-year project, and it required that I participate in 14 separate Apollo, Skylab, Apollo-Soyuz missions directly on the recovery ships. I would like to end on this thought. Dr. Berry and I never talked after the first career-changing meeting and before the pre-flight crew assessment for the Apollo 7 mission at the Kennedy Spacecraft Center. That meeting was a meeting to determine whether the flight crew was medically ready for flight. Dr. Berry was joined by the top medical doctor for the Air Force and the mission flight surgeon. He said, "John, how did the crew do on your test? Are they ready to fly?" I would like to thank Juniata for supporting me with the confidence and overall foundations that were important for me to sit in that meeting and say, "Yes, sir, from my testing, it is my opinion they are ready to fly." This scenario was repeated on all 14 missions I participated in. Thank you, Juniata.
Congratulations again, John. The Young Alumni Achievement Award has been given annually since 2000. It honors those who have distinguished themselves in their chosen profession during the first 15 years since graduation from Juniata. The recipient of the 2023 Young Alumni Achievement Award is Joseph Houck, class of 2008. Professor Peter Barron will present the award.
Good morning. Joe Houck, one of the finest members of one of the finest Juniata chemistry vintages, the year of 2008, should I use wine terminology. I fondly remember the class of 2008 chemistry graduates for two reasons. They started their Juniata experience the same year I did, in the fall of 2004, and that particular class gave our nation 17 excellent chemists and biochemists who served this nation in roles of medical doctors and chemistry faculty, among others. Joe is one of them. In the fall of 2005, I taught a general chemistry class for the first time at Juniata College. Joe Houck was one of the top 3 students among 89 students in the class. as a victim of Dr. David Reingold's organic first approach. Many of you might remember that experience. Joe fell in love with organic chemistry since his freshman year, when he also got involved in an undergraduate organic chemistry research with Dr. Richard Houck. Apparently, he was very good in his research activities because he was selected for a 10-week research opportunity at Pollock University in Olomouc, Czech Republic, during the summer of 2007. That was only the second year of a student exchange program that I launched with my friend Dr. Zdenek Travnicek from Pollock University in 2006. Joe was selected together with his classmate Kara George for this exciting adventure. Well, I saw it as an excitement. As far as I recall, Joe never commented on the 10 weeks spent abroad with a classmate with whom he shared a healthy class rivalry, as I was informed too late by my departmental colleagues and students from the 2008 class. Well, both Kara and Joe survived their time in Olomouc, and I believe they became better friends through this experience. What I know for a fact, however, is that for 10 weeks in the Czech Republic, Joe did not touch any meal besides that containing chicken. Is that true? Yeah. I also know that Joe was not mad with me for sending him to Olomouc because he spent his last year at Juniata researching under my supervision. I'm not taking much of a credit for Joe's decision to conduct research with me during his senior year, since his regular research advisor, Dr. Houck, was on his sabbatical. Dr. Houck, was on his sabbatical that year. Still, I can proudly claim that Joe Houck was a member of my undergraduate research group at Juniata, and that he started a new project on coordination complexes with pyrazole oxides. I wish to share one more experience about Joe Houck with you as a representative of Juniata College. For many decades, Juniata College has belonged to the Central Pennsylvania local section of the American Chemical Society, together with Penn State University in State College, Penn State Altoona, and Log Haven University. Despite the smallest size of Juniata among these fine academic institutions, we always played a major role in our local ACS section. Either Juniata Chemistry faculty or Juniata alums chaired the local section and steered its activities to higher quality. When Joe Houck returned to this area as an assistant teaching professor at the Department of Chemistry at the Penn State University, he quickly became active in the local ACS section, and for several years chaired the section, expanding such a list of Juniata Chemistry alumni in this role. As for the citation, I must state that Joseph D. Houck, a member of the class of 2008, has distinguished himself in his profession through leadership, teaching, and service. After graduating from Juniata with a bachelor degree in chemistry with a secondary emphasis in education, Joseph earned a PhD in chemistry at the University of Virginia in 2013. During graduate school, Joseph worked with elementary school students as a founding member and president of a student-led outreach club, Chemistry Learning Through Experiments and Demonstrations, LEAD. Through the organization, he visited Charlottesville area schools and science museums to teach hands-on science activities. After being awarded a dissertation year fellowship and Outstanding Graduate Teaching Assistant Award from the Department of Chemistry, he accepted a competitive internship in the medicinal chemistry group at Amgen. Joseph continued his work with elementary school students by volunteering at the local Boys and Girls Club, running a weekly STEM after-school program. He and his undergraduate students brought engaging activities to create a spark for science in these students from underrepresented backgrounds. Joseph pursued his passion for teaching as a lecturer at the University of Maryland, College Park, in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry and the Office of Extended Studies, where he taught organic and general chemistry for 3 years. For his efforts and supporting student success, he was selected as an Elevate Fellow in 2015 to redesign the General Chemistry 2 laboratory course. His teaching was also recognized by the University of Maryland College of Computer, Mathematical, and Natural Sciences when he was awarded the Dean's Outstanding Lecturer Award. Joseph now serves as an associate teaching professor within the Department of Chemistry at the Pennsylvania State University, where he is responsible for teaching large lecture and laboratory classes in the introductory chemistry sequence. He has been awarded a Teaching Innovation Grant to implement specifications grading in organic chemistry and to incorporate biological content. He has been honored at the Pennsylvania State University with the 2021 Priestley Teaching Prize in the Department of Chemistry and the 2022 CI Knoll Award for Teaching Excellence in the Eberly College of Science. Joseph also received the Teaching Innovation Award in the Eberly College of Science in 2022. Joseph volunteers as a college mentor for the United States National Chemistry Olympiad based in Washington, D.C. In this capacity, he plans lectures, labs, and both practical and theoretical exams to select the top 4 students to represent the United States at the International Chemistry Olympiad. He also volunteers for time as a certified professional development instructor for the Chemical Education Foundation, training elementary and middle school teachers on teaching chemistry in their classrooms. This award is presented to him in recognition of his career achievements and for representing the ideals of the Juniata community by striving for excellence in all of his endeavors. It is an honor and a privilege to present Joseph D. Houck 2008 with the Young Alumni Achievement Award by direction of the Alumni Council. Congratulations.
Well, good morning. I have made a few notes because I could speak about chemistry for 50 minutes, but not say thank you for just a few here. So first off, I want to thank Mike Ford and the selection committee for this honor to receive this Young Alumni Achievement Award. And thank you to the staff at Juniata who supported this organization. I also need to thank my family for being here today to support me, but also my parents for supporting a Juniata education and coming here to see concerts and plays and all of those ceremonies and whatnot during my time here as a student. My wife, Emma, we met here, and as they told us in this room during orientation that we would meet our future spouse here, that worked out for both of us. And we have 3 amazing kids, Grant, Caroline, and Lewis, who are here. So thank you to Emma for controlling that situation right now, and just being an ear to listen to my ideas, and even when I'm venting about how those ideas aren't working out the way I had originally thought. When I think about my time at Juniata, I think about 2 things, opportunity and community. Opportunity professionally to get into the research lab. Those research experiences were really defining in helping me to solidify my interest in a career in chemistry. So first year summer, having that experience in Dr. Houck's lab was really what changed the direction. I came to Juniata with an undecided between a POE in chemistry or elementary education, and through that research experience and then other experience, I was actually able to meld those 2 interests together. in one example of that is working with Science in Motion. And so I have to credit that group for opportunity to build basic lab skills, making solutions, but also getting to work in high schools and prepare students and get them to work with equipment and things that they wouldn't normally get to touch in a high school lab. I had the opportunity to travel and fundraise with our chemistry club to national meetings and present research and be exposed to other professionals in the chemistry field, which is really rare for as many undergraduates as we were sending at the time to go to those national meetings in Atlanta and New Orleans and beyond. The opportunity to study abroad at Pulaski University through the exchange program was a really amazing opportunity. There are opportunities for leadership within student organizations. So as the president of the chemistry club, we were able to do outreach activities and run a chemistry camp here for elementary students that fundraised our way to those national meetings. And in regard to community, I want to acknowledge the Juniata family that I built here, my college roommate Aaron, and the rest of them that we've maintained friendships over the years. Recently just we're at a wedding in the fall to reconnect, and our 15-year reunion is this fall, and I can't imagine how it's been 15 years already for that. The alumni community, the faculty community, so many different aspects of this is what made the Juniata experience really remarkable. And if you know about the community that is from Juniata. And so I'm just so grateful for that community, the opportunities that I had, and I thank you again for this honor.
Congratulations again, Joe. In recognition of the services so many Juniatans provide to the world around us, the Alumni Association added the William E. Swigart Jr. Alumni Humanitarian Award in 2001. This honor recognizes those who have improved the lives of others through personal sacrifice and have exercised significant leadership through vocation or avocation. The recipient of the 2023 William E. Swigart Jr. Humanitarian Award is Mark Moyer, class of 1992. Mike Ford, class of 1982, will present the award.
As one who has spent most of his life in ministry and service, it's a special honor to be part of Mark receiving this award for his humanitarian efforts. I came back to work at Juniata in the late 1980s, and one of my first jobs was residence director. I first was assigned to Cloister, and then my second year was assigned to Tussey Terrace. And in Tussey Terrace, we had an energetic staff of 5 people, and there was this one junior that was especially enthusiastic, responded to all my direction, and was just a joy to oversee, and his name was Mark Moyer. And that's how Mark and I met and worked together that first year in Tussey Terrace. And if you get to meet Mark, you will still feel and see that enthusiasm. He cannot help but to smile at you and just exude enthusiasm for everything about life. And I hope you get to meet him. Mark was very involved at Juniata in many areas. He was a DJ for the radio station. He was the business manager of the yearbook. He helped out with audiovisual stuff and theater lighting. He helped the Catholic campus ministry under Father David Arsenault. And he served there as a Eucharistic minister. Mark's faith continues to be a guiding force in his life and work. One of Mark's favorite professors has already been mentioned, a gentleman named Ron Cherry. It was under Ron that seeds were planted, and a managerial accounting experience would be part of the influence that led Mark to get an MBA after Juniata. Another influential professor was Robert Zimmerer, Mark had him for microbiology and electron microscopy. Microscopy, did I say that right? I avoided this building at all costs when I was a student and spent my time at Good Hall. But I think it's fun when I talk to Mark about some details. Nearly 25 years ago, when he was a prospective student, the chance to use as an undergraduate an electron microscope was one of the things that attracted him to Juniata. Mark has done wonderful things to improve the lives of many, many people since his student days at Juniata. I now read his award citation. Mark A. Moyer, a member of the class of 1992, has given selflessly to his community and beyond through his commitment to provide diabetes education and growing social support programs for people living with diabetes. Following graduation from Juniata, Mark earned a master's degree in business administration from the Katz Graduate School of Business, University of Pittsburgh, and a master's degree in health administration from the Graduate School of Public Health and the Katz Graduate School of Business, University of Pittsburgh. Mark is the executive director of Setabaid Services Incorporated, a not-for-profit organization based in Winfield, Pennsylvania. And I learned from Mark just before we came up here that Setabaid is diabetes, spelled backwards. That organization has the mission of providing the best diabetes educational programs available. Under Mark's leadership, the organization has grown from serving 80 families to more than 1,700 families. As part of the organization's goal, Setabaid Services operates diabetes summer camps, including Camp Setabaid, throughout Pennsylvania. At these sites, Mark helps to offer a normal camp experience for children with diabetes. Furthering his involvement in improving the lives of children, he works collaboratively with 6 major medical partners, including academic medical centers and the top pediatric diabetes center in the world. Mark began his career as a health systems specialist at the Baltimore Medical Center, a teaching hospital affiliated with the University of Maryland Medical System. While he was there, he assisted in planning a forum representing 7 states held in response to a request from the White House Conference on Aging Task Force. He served as a corporate planning director with the Albright Care Services of Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, where he coordinated a 3-phase, $64 million master plan for facilities on 3 campuses. Mark was appointed as administrator of the Pennsylvania site of the Barron Center for Diabetes Education, Incorporated. His responsibilities included annually providing diabetes education to more than 400 patients, as well as operating youth programs and camps for young people living with type 1 diabetes. Prior to undertaking leadership of Setabaid Services Incorporated, Mark worked as a community health consultant with Action Health in Lewisburg, where he was committed to improving the health status and the quality of life of individuals residing in a 5-county area in our state. Mark is a life member and past president of the Diabetes Education and Camping Association. He's a director on the board of the Kiwanis Club of the Buffalo Valley AM in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and he's chair of the Finance Council of the Sacred Heart Church in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. He has been recognized with the Donald S. McLean Award from the American Camp Association for Leadership, Courage, and Service in 2016, and the USDA Outstanding Champion Award for Teaching Healthy Eating in 2004. This award is presented to him in recognition of his lifetime achievements in humanitarian efforts. It's an honor and a privilege to present Mark A. Moyer, class of 1992, with the William E. Swigart Jr., class of 37, Alumni Humanitarian Award by direction of the Alumni Council.
Good morning, and I wanted to take a few moments to thank the folks that have made this possible. But honestly, this thanks comes because it's guided me in my life and my career. So first of all, I want to start back at the very beginning and thank my parents who actually came today. When I received the call that I was getting this award, my mother said to me, "I've never seen you get an award." So welcome, you get to see this. But I have to thank them because they taught me compassion, work ethic, and empathy. I think all of those are critical for all of us as human beings to be able to share that throughout our lives. The important thing to remember is that we're all part of a team. One of the things I learned from Juniata. Teams are important because each of us is special and good at one thing, but together we make the community we live in a better place. So it's funny because I was talking with Joe a little while ago. Organic chemistry was what stopped me from going further in chemistry. But I couldn't be anywhere without the organic chemists in this world. So thank you for being part of the team that makes our community better. I have to share about my time with Juniata because I think education has made some missteps as we've gone forward. They're using tests to determine where kids go, and they're forgetting about the social aspects of school. And Juniata did that very, very well. I will tell you academically, they are excellent. They were the best, probably the best I've ever had. We heard about 2 graduate school experiences that I went through. Those 2 graduate school experiences were a breeze to me. And they were a breeze because of what I had here at Juniata. And we heard about Ron Cherry. I never had a business course until I took Ron's managerial accounting course, and that was in the last semester of my junior year. And yet when I got to the MBA program, that was the easiest school I had ever been through because of Ron Cherry. So, and I heard Ron mentioned earlier with you as well. So Ron Cherry made a big difference. I heard Ron was really tough, but Ron and I bonded and we had some special connections. And because of him, I was able to get an MBA. So I thank Juniata for all of those things, but not just for the academic side of things, but for the experiential side of things. It was here for the first time that I learned to live outside of the small community that I came from in central Pennsylvania. I had lived my entire life, gone to one school system, elementary, middle school, high school, and then I came to Juniata, and it was here where I really met with diversity, and I appreciated that guiding me throughout life. So following here, you heard about some time that I spent in Maryland, and again, the experience there taught me so much more than just my academic timing. So one of the other leaders in my life was my late grandfather. And my late grandfather said to me, I don't care what you do in life. You can be a doctor or you can be a garbage collector, but be the best because you're here to help the community. So I'm going to challenge all of you today as we leave here. Think about your life. Think about what you're really good at and be the best, because a team is only as strong as the weakest link. But if we together as a community can go out and be our strongest part of that link, we can make our communities so much better. So please, I thank all of you for this award, but I want you to go out and I want you to be the strongest part of your piece of the link to make our community a better place to live. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Mark. The next award is the Harold B. Brumbaugh Alumni Service Award, which has been given annually since 1971. It honors those who have distinguished themselves above others as having given their time to projects or functions of an elected or appointed position for the advancement of Juniata College. The recipient of the 2023 Harold B. Brumbaugh Alumni Service Award is Gayle Wampler Pollock, class of 1968. Pat Reber, class of 1968, will present the award.
Thank you. Let's see, where am I here? Sorry. I just got this citation handed to me about 5 minutes ago. So first of all, Gayle, I have to say I see this photo, and if you look at the middle row of those photos on the left, that is Gayle. That is myself in the middle. Gayle's on the right. And Jane Beagley Miller, who is here today, another classmate. Where is she? Can she raise her hand? There she is. So the three of us have been close for many years. And I have to tell you just a little bit about Gayle, who was Dean of Admissions at one time at this Juniata College, and has a very personal tale to tell. Maybe she'll tell it, maybe she won't, about her and Mike Ford. So you may hear about that. I'm putting you on notice, Gayle. I'm putting you on notice. So I met Gayle my freshman year at Juniata. She was interested in fashion, I in politics. We are lifelong friends, like so many of us Juniatians, no matter what our interests, it's the magic of this place. Now I'm going to tell a little tale. Gayle's degree is in home economics. Yes, I know it may be news for millennials in this audience, if there are any, that home economics was once an academic department. Professor Butler, I never called her professor, she was really Mrs. Butler, was never satisfied with how Gayle finished the inside of her seams, no matter how stylish her creation. Gayle shrugged it off and dove into the broader liberal arts palette that Juniata so wonderfully offers. We've never forgotten Gayle's legacy. As the costume creator for the 3 years in a row, our class won the all-class night competition. I see some people remember it, okay. One of the few times the trophy was ever retired by our class of 68. I want you all to know that. And when we were on stage, and I was part of some of those performances, we didn't care about the seams on the inside of our garments as long as the costumes stayed on our bodies. Now, this was not always a proven thing, given some of the performances that we created and wrote and performed. And I'm sorry, I have heard that this tradition no longer persists here at Juniata, Dr. Troa. I'm wondering if it has something to do with all of the extracurricular after the all-class night competitions that took place at the Holiday Inn. I don't know if any of you remember that. So anyway, it's a loss for Juniata that they no longer have this class competition, I feel, but I'm sure good decisions were made along the way. One of the most remarkable things about Gayle is her abiding dedication to Juniata College, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this in her citation. And this service is the reason that she is receiving this award. But first, you need to hear about the man in whose name this award is being given, Harold B. Brumbaugh. He is the namesake of this award. Harold, we always called him Harold, never Mr. Brumbaugh, I don't know why. He was a man I always thought of as, and this is where I use the Mr. Juniata. The Brumbaugh name goes hand in hand with Juniata history, way back to the 19th century, and Harold was its embodiment. He had some job in administration, I'm not too sure what it was, but he was always out and about talking to students. He knew everyone on campus. In preparing these remarks, I discovered that Gayle and I shared enduring affection for this man. Gayle recalls that Harold was, quote, one of the reasons I went to Juniata, end quote. He was a friend of her minister in Harrisburg, and I remember Harold as always stopping me with a friendly word and never forgetting that my grandfather's brother, Daniel C. Reber, was the very first post to receive a bachelor's degree from Juniata in 1897. He never forgot it. And in fact, he gave me a history of Juniata book, a little book. So in the official citation, you'll hear more about Gayle's many, many commitments and services to Juniata. As Dean of Admissions, as a volunteer offering her expertise in admissions to this college, which I understand is done quite well under you, Mr. Troa. During all of these commitments and this busy life she had, Gayle found time to provide service in other ways to those around her. In Lewisburg, she serves on a local board that deals with domestic abuse and provides shelter across 3 northern Pennsylvania counties. This is a much needed service. She is an ardent fundraiser for the group, which also provides educational programs in all the local schools, and that amazes me that there are programs teaching about domestic abuse in the schools. That is really, really amazing. In so many ways, Gayle represents the ideals of service and dedication that are at the heart of Juniata's philosophy. I am abashed to admit that my dedication falls far short of hers, but Gayle has made sure I and many of our classmates from 1968, some of who are here today. Can we have hands? Yay! Wow, look at that. You see what All Class Night did to us? She makes sure that we all stay connected, and thank you, Gayle, for keeping us connected. So now, I have to find my way to this official citation. Okay, here it is. Gayle Wampler Pollock, a member of the class of 1968, has provided selfless and unwavering service to her alma mater with contagious energy and loyalty. Actually, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt this. I nominated her for this award before our 50th celebration in 2018. And at that time, she was too busy serving Juniata in other capacities that they couldn't give her this award. So anyway, okay. And this reads almost word for word my nomination for her for that award. Okay. Gayle Wampler Pollock, a member of the class of 1968, has provided selfless and unwavering service to her alma mater with contagious energy and loyalty. After working several years in the retail fashion industry, Gayle followed an inner calling to a life of service to others and began her career at Juniata College in the admissions office. For 15 years, Gayle promoted the value of a Juniata education and expanded the student body through her recruitment efforts, ultimately serving as Dean of Admissions. Her enthusiasm and outreach to prospective students drew many of them to Juniata, and I'm sure there may be some of you here who knew Gayle then. Gayle's subsequent work in the field of college admissions, and it's a much needed, I won't digress, sorry. Gayle's subsequent work in the field pulled her away from Huntington. However, through it all, she maintained close ties to Juniata. During the 1970s and again in the early 2000s, Gayle served as a member of the Alumni Council. From 2005 to 2021, she served on the Board of Trustees, the first 3 years of which were in the role of Alumni Trustee. Throughout these 16 years on the board, she held a variety of leadership roles, serving on the Executive Committee, Committee for Trustees, and chairing the Enrollment Committee. Gayle was also a member of the Presidential Search Committee that selected Juniata's 12th president, James A. Troha, PhD, in 2021. In 2021, Gayle transitioned, sorry about that, date wrong. 2021 belongs to this. In 2021, Gayle transitioned into the role of trustee emeritus. Since the late 1990s, Gayle has donated her time and expertise in college admissions through gratis enrollment counseling and consulting. This included many trips to Huntington as a member of an on-campus enrollment committee. During this period, Gayle also served as a class fund agent for the class of 1968. She generously filled this role alone for several years until she recruited a small team of classmates to serve with her as her consulting work for the college increased. Further demonstrating her commitment to Juniata, Gayle has shared her love of building connections. She worked alongside classmates on the class of 1968 reunion committee for many years, including serving on the social committee for their 50th reunion in 2018. Gayle has also warmly welcomed Juniatians into her home and other venues as the host of regional events and dinners. This award is presented to her in appreciation and recognition of all that she has done and continues to do for Juniata. It is an honor and a privilege to present Gayle Wampler Pollock, class of 68, with the Harold B. Brumbaugh, class of 33, Alumni Service Award by direction of the Alumni Council. Go get your award. Yeah. Get your award. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry.
My remarks will be brief. I first want to thank my family. They are here in the third row, and they have been so supportive and loving for such a long time, and I just want to thank them for being here very much. Second, I have been so blessed in my life with so many wonderful friends. I think of Pat and Janie having traveled here to be with me today, and I look out there and see so many more of you that I love and care about. I knew this was going to happen, I'm sorry. But finally, I cannot imagine my life without Juniata College. Juniata has given me so much that there's actually no way I could ever begin to give back everything Juniata has given me. So thank you so much for this award, and thank you, Juniata, for being a part of my life.
Congratulations, Gayle, and congratulations again to all our reward recipients. Let's give them another round of applause, please. One of the greatest honors of serving on Alumni Council is having the opportunity to learn about and meet the amazing individuals who are nominated for these alumni awards. In the coming weeks, I encourage all of you to think about Juniata alumni you know who may be deserving of such recognition. Using the information in your program, please submit their names to the Alumni Office so the Alumni Council might consider them for those in the future. Thank you again for joining us during this special occasion. As we close today, please stand as you are able. Dr. Russell Shelley, Professor of Music, will lead us in the Alma Mater, which is on the back of your program.
To Juniata College dear, in praise we raise our song, the place of loyal hearts and cheer, which we have loved so long. We love the pathways to